Hey Facebook, Lindsay Lombardi here with Find Your Freedom Coaching. And today I wanted to follow up with my videos that I've been doing that has been about becoming a fitness professional. And hey Dana, I'm glad you're able to make it on live today. So today I wanted to really talk about how to be an amazing fitness instructor. So really a kick-ass instructor, like somebody that's going to stand out. People that, somebody that when people take your class, they're going to go stop by the front desk and tell them like, oh my gosh, that was such an awesome class. Or when, you want people who come to your class to ask you like, oh, do you teach any other classes? So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I think it takes to really stand apart from the rest. So first off, let's talk about like people come to a group fitness class so that somebody else will push them past the points that they would normally not go by themselves. Oh, hey Erica, thanks. I love this one, right? And as an instructor, like we have like two main functions, and that's to either like keep our class safe, right? Make sure that everybody's doing the proper form, that people are exercising in a really safe way. They're not getting hurt. And the second part is to motivate the class. So, but what most people know is that there's really so much more to it. And take it from me because I sucked in the beginning, and slowly, very slowly, I began to learn the differences between, being an amateur in this industry versus being a professional. And I realized that in order to be paid and treated as a professional or an expert, that I had to like learn what I was doing and actually do that. So I did want to say that like, talent isn't always needed. When you have a lot of heart, like people see that, people sense that. So I just wanted to go over some of the, hey Lindsay, hey Heather, thanks for jumping on live today. I just wanted to go over some of the ways that I think like these are like little nuances that I think make such a big difference. The first thing is that it's not about you. Oftentimes instructors, and I see this in a couple of ways. One, it's not like, we're really not, even though you're getting in front, like you're on stage, right? Like you're a performer in a way. It's not about you. People aren't really coming to see you perform or to see you exercise. It's really, they're coming to get a good workout in for themselves. So it's not really your class. It's not really your workout. It's their class. Everything that you do is for them. It has nothing to do with you, really. It's not about you showing off how great you are at doing certain movements. Nobody. And the other thing is, in taking a look at this from another perspective, a lot of people in the beginning, they're nervous about teaching their first class. So it's more about, let's say, like nobody's really looking at you as the instructor. People are so much in their own head. Like, yes, they're staring at you to make sure that they have like good form and good things, but they're not really like, they're not too concerned about what it is that you're doing, because they're concerned about what it is like that they look or they feel. So you don't have to be as in your own, like as much in your own head, or being nervous about, teaching in the beginning and not feeling as confident, right? About confidence. So that's the next thing I wanted to talk about, because starting to like become more confident, confidence, posture, and professionalism goes a long way. So this is something that like doesn't just happen overnight. You have to kind of learn it by doing it. So making eye contact with people that come to your class. You don't want to be up in the class and just kind of staring at yourself the whole time in the mirror. You want to really like engage with people one-on-one. using the space of the entire room. So one of the things that I do often is I walk around the room. So people in the way back might not always, they feel like they can maybe not do things out too fully. I want to make sure that they know, like, I'm watching them. Like, they're going to have to give it all to me. Also, like, your voice and tonality. So we don't want to come on and be like Ben Stein through our mic set. Like, we don't want to be, okay, guys, let's do a squat. You want to like really be excited and use your voice so that way it can help kind of bring the energy of the room up. Also, about professionalism. So from the time that you like walk into the facility, the gym, the studio, wherever you're going, you have to make sure that you're a professional. You're dressed professionally. You don't want to be rude or obnoxious to people. Like, even if it's like out in the parking lot, you don't want to be like screaming at somebody over like a parking space, or screaming at somebody on your phone. You're in work mode every time you enter that facility. So be respectful and be positive and just treat people how you'd want to be treated. The other thing is, when you're heading into class, is to be prepared. In the beginning, you might have to take more time to actually do this part. You really have to study your notes and practice. Like, I remember the first few years, I would really have to like look over my notes like before every single class, because I would forget from one day to the next. And it took me a lot of time. Like, even though you're getting paid for that one class, it might seem like a nice amount of money for that one class. There's really other hours that go into what you're teaching for that 1 hour. So you really want to be prepared and practice. The other thing about that is with being prepared, you want to make sure that you start on time, and you end on time. So starting on time, you have to realize that some people who are coming to your classes are busy. Like, they do not have time to be like waiting around. And I'll see people like, if I'm having a problem, and this has happened before, like I'm trying to get like my mic set to work, or something's going on, something that I can't control. Like, you can see people like waiting to get started. So it's really important to start on time, because somebody might have somewhere to be exactly when they're done that class. So it's important to respect other people's time. And then the same thing with ending your class on time, because again, people have places to be, and if there is a class happening in that room right after, this is a huge pet peeve of mine as an instructor, is that you want to be done that class at least 5 minutes before the start time of the next class. Like, most busy studios will already have this as like part of their, part of like their scheduling. Like, it's really not a 60-minute class. It's like a 55-minute class or a 52-minute class by the time that you get started and that you finish. So that way, everyone's cooled down. There's about a good 5-minute period that you can allow the next instructor to come in and get set up, and that you can get your classmates to kind of like head out of the room, so that way the new people can come in. So that's a huge pet peeve of mine, and I learned that really on. Luckily, I had amazing mentors that helped me get prepared and understand those things. But I guess some people don't have that mentorship when they're trying to first get started in this industry. So again, like, the other thing is about arriving on time. So I like to arrive at least 10 to 15 minutes before the start time of my classes. And the reason being is that it gives you a few extra minutes to chat with people. Like, you can get set up beforehand, and then as people are coming in, you get to know people. So I have a really hard time remembering people's names. So it gives me that extra time to kind of get to know people on a more personal level. So that's why I like doing that. It also gives me like that little extra time that just in case something happens, like you get stuck behind a trash truck or like whatever it may be, I'm still there a few minutes early. Like, I'm not going to, again, have to start my class late. So I never and that could be like, I leave sometimes an hour before my class, so I know like I'm going to find parking, I'm going to get to class on time, and then I'm there 15 or so minutes before to set up, even if there's a class before you, because if there's a class before you, then you have time to chit chat with some of your students beforehand. The next thing is use a dang mic. I see a lot of people, in fact, I am at, a couple of the studios that I'm at, we don't use mics because we're in a really small studio. It's more of a boutique studio where we only have, let's say, a maximum of 8 participants. So it's a really small room. I don't have a problem with being able to shout over the music when there's only 8 people in the room. But when I'm talking about like a standard size facility where you have like 10 or more people, you really want to use a mic. And I don't care how loud that you think you can scream. If you're screaming the entire time, that's not a good setting for your students. So you really want to, plus it's better for you. Like, do you want to be losing your voice? Like, what if you start teaching more classes every week? You can't be screaming 6-7 classes a week. You will lose your voice. So there's, be professional, invest in a mic, start using it. I teach a dance format, and I think that's even more important. Like, there's certain formats that just like you have to be using a mic. Also, if it's a large, if you're talking about classes, like I know where at most of the places that I teach, we don't really have huge studio spaces where we're getting like the 50, 60 or like 100 students in a class. We don't see that here. However, you would definitely need a mic for that. So just get started getting used to wearing your mic. The other thing is to really like learn the specific nuances of your craft. And that takes time as well. So like learning cueing, how to cue up certain movements. These are all things that you learn by doing. Again, it takes practice. Sometimes you have to learn how to like count the music, right? Know the 32 count and the 8 count, the musicality of what you're doing, and how to count music backwards. So you just like know where you're at in the music and know how to like tell the class where they're at, like 3, 2, 1. All of those things are really difficult in the beginning. I think it took me at least 2 years to figure all of that out. So don't expect to like just know that right away, but it takes practice. Knowing certain terminology of the human body, so you're able to tell people and tell them in a way, hey Connie, tell them in a way that will allow them to understand it. So like you don't want to be using like the scientific terms if like like the general population isn't going to know that. So just learning how to explain to people what you think that they should be doing, even if it's just like going left and right. Listen, most people don't know left from right, so sometimes you have to like find other unique ways to show them how to do that. Also, being able to face forward and face the class. So there's very specific ways in which and different formats. So there are formats where like when you're coaching, if it's like more of a coaching style format, I like to kind of do things both ways, and sometimes I even turn sideways so that people can see the profile of certain movements. So like I'll teach forward, so like I'm facing the mirror as well and I can see them. I'll spin around, I'll teach towards them, so I'm facing them. And then I'll also move to the side, to the profile, so that way they can see what's happening. If I'm doing a squat, they can see like where is everything happening. So it's multi-dimensional. Whereas when I'm teaching a dance class, so for a dance class, you have to be facing the mirror so that way they can really follow you along. If you started to kind of mirror them, it makes sometimes dance classes a lot more difficult, especially when it's highly choreographed. So you really want to face the mirror for that type of thing. Hey Vanessa, hey Sylvia, hi. The next thing is building relationships with your students, with your regulars. So this is, I think, the thing that like makes your job so much more enjoyable as well. Plus, I think it makes your class participants feel special, is when you really get to know them. I like to find, like I said, I don't remember names very often as well as maybe others might. So in order, I'll find different ways to get to know the class participants' names. I'm lucky because I teach at a lot of studios that where they're smaller, so like it's simple now, and I get regulars, so like I know everyone's name. But when you start maybe teaching somewhere new, or when every week there's different people, it's really difficult to get to know everyone's name. So you really want to like introduce not only yourself to people beforehand, that's why I like to go a little earlier, but also introduce the newcomers to the regulars. And this is something that I started doing more recently that I noticed like a big difference, because now the newcomers feel like they're part of it. They're not an outsider anymore. You also get to meet a lot of interesting people. So I like to always also find out about like what's going on in their lives. It's awesome when I find out I meet somebody who's also, maybe they're a professional dancer, or they're in theater, or like whatever it is. Like I get to like find out something that they just don't work at this location. It's not just, I get to really know something more about them, or where they live, things like that. And just love on your regulars, because those are the people that will become your lifers. Like these will be the people that will like fight through like bad weather or running late from work. They will not make the excuses, and they will still get to your class. The other thing is quality over quantity. So luckily I actually get to teach, I get to teach a lot of smaller in much smaller settings. So I actually found that I like that. Like I actually like teaching to under 10 people, because I think I can get those 6 to 8 people to have a really kick-ass class, rather than, having a class of 40 people who kind of like, people can hide out in the back a little bit, right? So I know that like every person that came to class worked their booties off. And that's just something that I think over time, at first I used to be like, oh, no one's coming to class. But then like working at small studios have gotten me used to, and being quite excited at the fact that like people get that one-on-one attention. In fact, now I notice when I only have like 1 or 2 people in a class, sometimes they get so excited. They're like, oh my gosh, I get like a one-on-one session. Like, how lucky am I? So make them feel just as excited about that, like that you feel the same way as well. Not like one person came, like even though sometimes it's like upsetting to you as an instructor when not as many people are showing up, you want to teach even with that one participant, even though it's hard, even though it's harder to get your energy level up. You want to make them feel special. The next thing I wanted to mention was using social media to build your community amongst your participants. Another thing that I started recently was I have like a community page for my regulars, people who come to classes like over and over again. They want to just keep up with what's happening and what's happening in class. If there's changes to the schedule, they'll know what's going on. If I'm having a sub, I want to make sure that I let them know, like, you're going to have an amazing sub, I'm not just like, oh, hey guys, I'm leaving for next week, so come if you want or don't. No, I want them to show up for that next, whoever I am having sub that class. So I will highlight the instructors that I have subbing. So again, you can use like a Facebook group, or you can post a lot on social media, like your classes. The one thing I've learned is, for me, now I don't know if this might be different for, different people, but for me, I realized that if I announce my classes publicly, like on social media all of the time, like every single time I have a class, is that people will like start to ignore those posts. So the Facebook group has become just like a little community, like a better way to make certain announcements. Hey, Jen. The next thing is being a team player. So again, I talked about this yesterday, that we're our own business owner, but you have to remember that you're also a part of a team. You're part of a team of employees that work at the gym. Even though you own your own business, you still want to be involved in some way with the studio or facility, and you want to make sure that they know that like you have their back as well as they have your back. So, you don't just want to like do the bare minimum at your studios. I mean, you can, if you just like to come and teach a class once a week, that's fine. But if you want to really like set yourself apart from what everybody else is doing, you really want to become a part of that community of each of the facilities that you're a part of. The next thing is really important, and I left this also for the last, or for the second to the last thing I wanted to talk about. You have to be okay that you're not everyone's cup of tea. Your style will attract the right people just like you. So don't try to change yourself and what's natural for you in order to please everybody, because it is impossible to be a people pleaser. For instance, I like to use more positive words of encouragement rather than the like screaming like boot camp style of like drill sergeant, kind of like screaming negativity in your face. So like, yes, there are some people that are motivated by like the more like negative stuff, but for me, I like more positive words of encouragement, and I like positive mindset influences when I'm working out. So that's what I do for my class, and I think I've attracted people that like that as well. If somebody wants the like screaming negativity in your face like a drill sergeant, I'm not the class to come to, and that's okay. And I'm not going to please everybody, but those people can kind of move on and go to a different class, and that's okay. So I've just learned to just be okay and attract the people that are just like me. People who want to like actually come to class and learn and have a fun experience and even feel comfortable as a beginner, so I can't stress this one enough, is to just like be yourself, don't try to please everybody, and you'll attract the right people. And the last thing, so this is important because like this happens all of the time, and as an instructor, we like freak out, especially in the beginning when we're already nervous, right? Is to be flexible in case things go wrong, because they will. You're gonna come in and the speaker's broke or your mic's broke, but there's always workarounds. Whatever happens, you can always find a solution for whatever happens. And you can make some on the fly changes. Sometimes, like I'll even change the workout. If something like that happened and it's like we were going to dance. Okay, maybe we can't dance today because of the music, but we can do like a boot camp style workout, or I can use my phone, or there's always a workaround to whatever happens. So I hope you guys have found this helpful. I hope this is just a small amount. I could keep going on and on, but in fact I have to leave in 5 minutes to get to class. So there's so many more things that I wanted to mention, which I can put together in another video, but these are like the most important basics that I think, and things that I've learned that I was kind of shocked and surprised at as I've been like just tweaking what I've been doing and learning and improving. But you just have to like keep improving. You know, I don't ever stop improving. I keep educating myself and researching, and we talked about that yesterday. So thank you guys. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them. Send me some questions, send me some feedback. I'd love to maybe in the next few videos, because I still have a couple subjects regarding this that I'd love to talk about. So send me some questions and feedback so I can get to those in my follow-up videos. Thanks guys. Have a wonderful day.